my grandpa must go. He had a trap line all the way from Cedarville all the way to Cormoran Falls. He trapped, and he had dogs, and he had little shacks that he built along the way where he could rest. And in the spring, when it was icy, at night it would freeze and it would thaw in the daytime, then it would freeze. He had Grandma make him some little moccasins for the dog's feet so they wouldn't be cut with the sharp ice. And he trapped all the way, and he brought his furs back, and he sent them away, you know. He got them all prepared. And my my mother was just old enough where she could write. So she had to write all these tags out for him when he mailed these in. And they had a sugar bush too. They made a lot of maple syrup and maple sugar. But when he went to sell his snowshoes and different things, the white man got a hold of them. They bought these things and they paid him in whiskey. Well, the whiskey got the best of them. They lost everything.
My grandmother was an Indian medicine woman. Now, she used to walk from Manistee to Munising. If somebody was sick or having a baby or something like that, she'd walk, and she carried a blanket with her, that's what they told me, and she'd sleep on the way, you know, just lay in the woods and sleep. To go there, and then she had carried that black bag, and when the woman was having a baby, she was supposed to always have that baby in that little black bag. Now, that's what we were told as kids, you know. Grandma used to go from here, walk from here to St. Ignace, and when it got cold, she'd dig a hole in the sand, and she'd put her blanket out, and then she'd cover herself with sand over and above to keep her warm. Now, that was what was told to me, and my father told him. And
he used to tell me, you know, how we want to make moccasins. And he said, we get the hide, deer hide, you know, they make shoes. And how to make that tied in there. But they scrape that fur out. They soak it in the water. I think in the salt water, I don't remember. Then they put it on a stick in there, and then they had some kind of a scrape, you know, scrape that. Then they dry it out, then they put it on the trees, you know, string it like, you know. They didn't have no string that time. They used some kind of they call it weagle. It peel off, you know, as strong as a string. So they tie it in there. Then you had that, like a little stick, you know, like sharp in here, but it's not sharp, you know. Then they fight with that, you know, to make it soft. Then they tie it again all the way around. There's a little fire in there, and they hang that up, make it brown. And make nice moccasins. Then we get a rabbit skin, and that for stockings. Yeah. We inside out that rabbit skin, dry it up, you know. Have a nice stockings for them, you know, nice and warm. My dad used to wear moccasins too, go hunting, wear moccasins.
My great-grandfather was a guide to Bishop Berga. And he has a prayer book that was in Indian, and in English, and he interpreted into Indian for Bishop Berga. This is what my great-grandfather was now, I remember, is a guide to people around. He always would take people for fishing and for hunting. This is what my great-grandfather did most of the time. In fact, I have a rocking chair that my great-grandfather has. I was going to sit in it. It's upstairs. And he used to smoke a big, long corn pipe. And the matches, the grooves are right in each of the arm of that chair, and it must be at least 100 years old. And my grandmother, when we would have any big dinners, it always had to be, well, I used to be able to name all the animals in Indian. My grandmother said all her prayers in Indian, didn't know any of her prayers in English at all. And she talked Chippewa Indian very fluently, but of course when you're young, you think that's kind of foolish and not paying attention to it. And I used to know all the animals in Indian. But of course, as I got older and she died, you know, I never kept track of it. But We always at any big meal, she always made sure we always had duck, or we always had venison, we always had wild meat. She didn't believe in any of the other kind of meat. So she was typical, you know, really kind of Indian. And she never, my grandma wore real long dresses right to the floor. And my grandma and them didn't have any electricity or no refrigeration or anything that until 1949. So I know what it's like to be by candlelight and, you know, no refrigeration or anything like that. But boy, she made the best huckleberry pie you ever made. I'm not kidding you. No one ever made pie like my grandma did.
My dad worked for Chase S. Osborne. And my grandfather, he campaigned for Chase S. Osborne when he was running for governor of Michigan. He was 102 when he did this, because Chase S. Osborne couldn't talk the Indian language to the Indian people that were living on Sugar Island. And my grandfather took him around the Sugar Island, communicated with the Indian native people in their language and interpreted to Chase S. Osborne.
Well, the DNR was after me for shooting deer. So I lived in a beaver house all for 9 months. You know what a beaver house is? The beavers build a big house out of sticks, and there's 2 holes in it. So I had a team of dogs. It was in the wintertime. Went up there and I dug the top off, got the top off. It was snowing like hell. Got down in there. Caught the beaver out of there, killed him, skinned him. Fed the dogs the beaver meat. And I got some brush and put over the holes, keep the water, my feet from going in the water when I was sleeping at night, you know. Covered the top up with a piece of canvas that I had. And I lived there for 9 months in Brab's Marsh. Nobody knew where I was at, only my dad. And there's a little island in Furnace Bay. I used to shoot deer up there. I had my rifle and shotgun, dogs. And I'd shoot deer and bring them down and drop them off at that little island, and he'd drop me off groceries. I never did see him for 9 months. So in the spring of the year, I decided I'm going to go in and turn myself in. So I turned myself in, they give me 30 days. Hell, I could have done that standing on my head.
They used to make a story a long time ago, what's going to happen, you know, when you grow up, you know, what's coming ahead of you. That's what they used to talking about. And they used to say, Wendigo is going to go around, that Wendigo. He's going to go around and eat people. It's a big person. That's what that story they used to have.
Wendigo is always going to get you.
Yeah, Wendigo. You better watch out. That's
Wendigo
coming.
Barking.
It's a great big one. It's a look like a monkey, like. That's what they used to say. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be the end of the world. It's a long time ago story. That's what they used to tell us, you know. And a big fire in there in the middle, you know. And then everybody sitting down, you know, on the ground. Nice, you know. Green grass, make fire in there, and they tell that story. Us kids were scared, you know, scared. Wendigo. He was gonna grow up, you kids. I want you to know that. That's gonna be coming into the world. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. Mm-hmm. Potato soup. We made lots of potato soup, you know, a long time ago. Grandma cook outside sometimes, you know, hot day. put the kettle over there, and then he'd make fire, you know. He didn't need that clean sand in there, and then he'd put the bread in there and then bear it up. And about an hour time, the bread is done. Then he just scrape that off, you know, just like you never know it's a bread. Tastes a lot different than a fried bread.
Bake it in the hot sand.
Yeah, bake it right in the hot sand. And that's good. Shivagis you go quick. It's my Indian name.
What does that mean?
Go through the clouds.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, go through the clouds.